I'm in France, the home of fine wine, gay Paris, and nude beaches. I'm in France, and Ellen couldn't be here, so I'm on my own for this one. It's my second time here, and it's my first time being out and open with my sexuality, and I'm excited to look at the country with a new perspective and new eyes. The first time I was here, I was studying abroad. I think I romanticized Paris and France. Paris represented something different than my Indiana upbringing. There was this whole component to my life which was hidden. It's actually really powerful for me to come back. I get to look at Paris and France in a whole new way. Feel like, you know, sometimes you just gotta get a little loose when you're in Paris. I'm in the Marais, the famous gay district in Paris, and I'm really excited to talk to more gay people in the area and see what's going on tonight. We're wearing matching outfits, I think.
Yeah.
When you're going out, you mainly see just gay men around this area, yeah?
Le Marais, c'est très mec, c'est mec.
What are you doing tonight?
Oh, c'est juste boire un verre, c'est s'amuser, rencontrer des amis, et puis après on boit pour les soirées.
In your opinion, what is it like to be gay in France?
Ça veut rien dire, c'est... Après, en France, on est dans un pays assez libre et assez... Je pense pas que c'est être gay, lesbien, noir, qui fait la différence, en fait.
Would you say that it's easy to be gay in France?
Oui. Quand on voit ce qui se passe ailleurs, surtout en ce moment, à Paris, c'est très facile. C'est très facile, ouais.
Thanks so much. I'll let you get back to your party. Wow.
Oh, c'est bien
Oh,
intense,
sensual. A little sensual kiss there. It's been a long time since I've been here, so I'm kind of having a flashback. And I'm thinking about young Ian and when I studied abroad here and about the times when I would just kind of experiment with what it would mean to go into a gay bar, what do gay bars look like here. I would kind of just roam the streets and think about going in, and I'm going to go into the gay bar this time. Hi guys. Hi.
Gregory.
Gregory. Ian. And do you all live in Paris?
Yes.
I'm just like wandering around the streets of the Marais.
Yeah.
I can practice my French a little bit, right? Ready? I only know certain phrases. Les phrases temps. J'ai étudié à Paris pour 5 mois.
I like your accent.
Yeah, I practice the accent. Oh, sexy. That's what I like to hear, boys. Tell me more.
You are hetero?
Huh?
You are hetero?
You like a man or you woman?
No. You are gay?
I'm gay, yeah. Hey, hey. What is it like to be gay in Paris?
Oh, that's good.
Hard question.
That's a good.
Oh, I got ya.
Actually, it's easy. Because now
It's open.
yes, it's open.
Oh,
It's open, so it's cool. But after that depends where you are.
Wow, your family. If you
You are you are placed in Paris,
It's an array.
or to be gay, it's hard.
Me, I live in the banlieue, so it was very difficult to begin to assume that I'm gay.
Is it just it's just the area that the people in the area are
Yeah,
close-minded to?
because I live in the 93, so it's a hard city.
Right. And so you just come into the city to party? And to
Yeah,
meet people,
always
like,
here,
hang out?
never in my city, no.
Are we doing arm in arm? Let's not cozy up. Okay, come on, boys.
Come on.
What is this next bar that we're going to? What is it like?
You want to meet a daddy?
Sometimes the daddy's what you need.
It's good.
The Marais is one of the great neighborhoods in the world. And since the 80s, it's been the epicenter of LGBTQ culture in Paris. It's great seeing young people have spaces like this where they can be themselves, but it really is a predominantly male scene. I'm here during Gay Pride Week, and the rainbow flag is flying high. Right now, Parisian Pride is happening. Right across the river from here. There's a lot to celebrate. Marriage equality was just legalized in 2013 after a long, hard fight. With this party of thousands of spectators and participants moving through the center of the city, Paris would seem to be accepting. But I want to find out if this is the case for the entire LGBTQ community.
Pride got really depoliticized over the years in France. So it's just like this excuse to celebrate more and more. I mean, I'm all for dancing and celebrating, but Pride should be focused more on political issues.
I'm meeting with journalist and activist Edwin Nasser. Originally from Lebanon, he's now based in Paris and has become a rising voice within a new queer movement that's trying to make minority issues more visible. This movement is putting on an alternative to Paris's gay pride, called Pride de Nuit, or Night Pride.
I think we should focus more on political issues. That's why events such as the Night Pride, if you wish, focus on visibility and politicization and like asking the government to recognize trans rights, to focus on what's been going on in the projects, how LGBTQ people of color feel stuck there.
Mec, tu veux qu'on appelle la police?
Well, homophobia is alive and well.
Yes, everywhere.
In the same sentence where you're talking about homophobia,
Exactly.
homophobia
Being structural.
has risen and landed right in front of us. How often does that happen in France?
No, that happens quite often. People like me get both. People who just like spew out racist rhetoric, but we get that a lot. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's part of everyday life, I guess, for everyone.
Paris is known as the city of love, and it has a reputation for being liberal and progressive when it comes to sexuality.
Toujours le côté d'être curieux. Tu vois cet immeuble, somme toute très moche. Avant, c'était le bal Tabarin, un cabaret où il y avait beaucoup de femmes nues qui dansaient complètement nues. Et beaucoup de lesbiennes qui venaient dans cet endroit. C'était un bon moyen pour voir des femmes nues.
And while I'm still learning about how much of that is true today, in the 1920s, a vibrant subculture for queer artists emerged, albeit in the underground world of the Parisian nightlife. I'm meeting with Bambi, a trans cabaret performer who rose to stardom in the 1950s after leaving her home in Algeria.
Bonjour, comment allez-vous?
Ah, ça va. Et tu?
Merci beaucoup. Thank you for coming here.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. Can I help in any way?
You carry the cups?
I'll carry the cups. Yeah. And where are we going? Into the living room?
To the salon.
Okay, here.
Très
There we
bien.
go. "63 years ago, when you were performing in Paris nightlife, can you help paint that picture for me? What life was like then, what it was like for you?"
À sortir comme on voulait en femme, c'est-à-dire à transgresser les lois. La mentalité était complètement différente. Les femmes ne portaient pas de pantalon à l'époque à Paris. Il était absolument interdit par la police de s'habiller comme on voulait. Et nous n'étions pas très nombreuses à Paris. Elle s'était promis, la police mondaine de Paris, la police spéciale de Paris, voulait nous exterminer complètement. C'était leur terme.
When did you decide I want to perform on the stage?
Oh, quand on est très jeune et qu'on entend les chansons à la mode, on a envie de les chanter, on les connaît par cœur. Et on s'imagine forcément un petit peu qu'on va... Ce qui m'a déterminé à venir à Paris, ça n'est pas pour chanter. Ce qui m'a déterminé à venir à Paris, c'est que je savais quand j'allais pouvoir vivre ma vie.
And in your everyday life, did you feel you were in danger?
On a résisté, on a continué, on n'a pas fait de scandale, mais enfin on l'a fait, on a maintenu notre point de vue. D'abord on connaissait les hormones, avec des hormones on allait très loin, et puis est arrivée l'opération qui nous a permis vraiment de mettre un terme aux poursuites de la police.
Reflecting on your personal experience and what you've been through, do you feel like it's better to be public with who you are and more visible, or do you think it's better to keep it hidden and keep it quiet?
I think it's better to keep hiding, yeah, because you live your own life. Ah, bravo! Très bien, bravo, bravo, bravo. Allez, on boit un peu de
For
champagne.
you.
Oh, quelle merveille!
So what do we say again? I forgot.
Santé,
Santé.
santé. That's the last time I was on the beach in my life.
How old are you here?
I was 41.
When you think about your performing prime in Paris, do you think life is less or more interesting when you were young versus today?
It's different. At that time, I wanted to realize the person I was in myself. That is today forgotten. I don't think of that anymore. I am Marie-Pierre Pruvot, and that's all, and I just live.
The artists and activists from Bambi's era took a defiant stance. They carved out their own space for the queer community since they didn't have one in society. And today, across town, a new generation of queer feminists are doing the same.
Merci d'être venu à la Fruit Pride, une soirée organisée par le collectif NM et Plénaille Paris. C'est la première, ce ne sera pas la dernière.
To make sure the party is welcoming for the LBT community, few men are invited, so I'm grateful to be joining in tonight.
En fait, déjà, pour les filles et les personnes trans, il n'y a pas beaucoup de lieux. On est à peu près les seuls sur Paris à faire ce genre de soirée. Voilà. Et les filles, quoi. C'est toujours ah non, les filles elles n'ont pas de sexualité, ou il faut que ce soit un peu poupougne et tout ça. Et c'est pas vrai, quoi. Il y a aussi des gens qui sont offensifs, il y a aussi des gens qui veulent avoir une sexualité débridée ou pas.
I'm wondering, do you wish for more spaces in the mainstream arena, or do you like having these more underground parties?
Avant, il y avait beaucoup plus de bars pour les lesbiennes, et petit à petit, ça a fermé. C'est important aussi de montrer qu'on n'a pas peur et que de toute façon, on est là, et que de toute façon, on continuera d'exister quoi qu'il arrive.
I would love to know from both of your perspectives what it means to be a queer woman in France.
C'est quand même compliqué, je pense.
Bah, pour moi, c'est un peu différent parce que moi, je travaille et je fais que des événements autour du mouvement queer. Donc, peut-être j'ai un côté un peu plus rebelle. Donc, du coup, ma position, elle est aussi de toute façon de pousser.
Ouais, mais ta position restera différente. Déjà, on n'a pas la même couleur de peau. Et c'est vrai que c'est un fait aussi qu'il faut aborder, c'est les lesbiennes black. Et ben, elles sont pas très visibles. Donc là, on est aussi là pour se dire, bah voilà, on est black, on est lesbienne et on est là.
Being private does not mean being quiet. And while Prude Pride is underground, it's by no means in hiding.
Oui, c'est des étiquettes, c'est notre couleur de peau, c'est tout en fait. C'est juste aussi qui compte et c'est les gens qui sont dans nos soirées qu'on aime et qui viennent notre soirée qui sont importants.
It's been 3 years since the marriage equality ruling in France. Many had hoped it would bring further progress for LGBTQ rights, but change hasn't happened so quickly. I'm on my way now to meet with French artist Emily Jouvet. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Émilie.
She uses her art as activism and encourages members of the queer community to voice the issues that they still face.
Donc si tu veux, tu peux poser ta main.
Emily invites me to participate in her new project. By touching her belly and discussing family, this piece responds to French law that prohibits assisted reproduction for single and queer women.
femmes lesbiennes, indépendantes, voulant créer d'autres formes de famille.
Est-ce que tu as déjà touché le ventre d'une femme enceinte?
It's been a while. It's probably been like 3 years.
Ça fait combien de temps que tu commences à y penser?
You know, I think if I were so deeply connected to a lesbian couple that really wanted to have a child, let's say like my friend Ellen, if
Yeah.
she decided that she wanted to have a kid and she needed sperm, I have thought about would I give her my sperm? I would potentially think about donating.
Ok. Thank you.
Was that good? Okay.
Super.
Can you tell me more about the project you're working on?
Et moi, ça fait des années que je fais des projets sur le monde LGBT, le féminisme. Jusqu'à présent, j'avais jamais abordé le thème de la maternité ou de la parentalité chez les personnes LGBT. Ce projet, c'est un peu ça.
I would love to know more about your personal experience with getting pregnant and the things you had to go through to sit here with that belly.
Forcément, avoir passé par la PMA. Sauf que en tant que femme lesbienne, ça m'était refusé. Donc j'ai dû partir à l'étranger.
Can you tell me more about what's going on with reproductive rights in France?
Alors en France, la PMA était interdite pour les femmes célibataires et pour les couples de femmes, mais en plus que si un médecin aidait une femme juste en lui donnant une adresse d'une clinique à l'étranger, il pouvait être emprisonné 5 ans et 75 000 € d'amende. On est obligé de mentir en France quand on va voir un médecin. On ne peut pas dire qu'on est lesbienne. J'ai l'impression que c'est un peu la même situation que les femmes. Que ma mère, par exemple, à l'époque, quand les féministes se battaient pour avoir le droit à l'avortement, nous, maintenant, on se bat pour avoir le droit d'avoir des enfants. Donc c'est complètement l'inverse, mais on est dans la même situation de peur.
When you think about France in the future, do you see that LGBTQ people and other minorities will actually get to full equality?
I hope. Et en France, on commence à peine à se dire qu'il faut avoir, que les luttes pour l'égalité doivent se croiser. C'est une idée qui commence à peine vraiment à germer.
Control over one's body without government or social stigma is a fight shared by countless queer women, as well as transgender people in the country. Today, there's still legislation in place that demands sterilization in order to legally confirm one's gender. A new wave of transgender activists in France are fighting against this law through participation in marches like the upcoming Night Pride and through smaller gatherings that aim to strengthen and empower the trans community. There's this association in Paris called Acceptus Trans, and they host this weekly meetup at a pool where queer and trans people can get together and swim in a judgment-free zone. And I'm gonna go in now and check it out. It's run by trans activist Giovanna Rincon. The meetup that you're having this evening, what is it exactly?
Ce lieu permet aux personnes transgenres de s'épanouir dans un endroit libre et tranquille, sans la peur de toilettes binaires, sans la peur de vestiaires binaires.
Why the pool?
Et surtout, ce qui m'a motivé, c'est que depuis que j'avais fait ma transition, j'avais difficulté à aller dans un espace public à la piscine. C'est qu'il y avait beaucoup de personnes qui, depuis qu'ils faisaient leur transition, qui ne venaient plus à la piscine parce qu'il y avait trop de discrimination. Bah voilà, Yen, bah, je te propose d'aller à la piscine.
Let's do it, yeah. I'm ready. Can you describe your experience of being trans and young and male in Paris and in France?
Je pense, la société, elle est foncièrement transphobe. La France, c'est un pays qui est très sexiste et qui, de toute façon, a une espèce de... C'est un pays très viriliste, en fait, c'est ça, la France. Mais en tant que mec trans, je dirais que il y a moyen que j'ai un cis-passing, c'est-à-dire quand je suis reconnu en tant qu'homme, la vie, elle devient beaucoup plus facile. Ça, c'est le privilège masculin dans une société très patriarcale.
Quand j'ai fait mon coming out, j'avais beaucoup de mes collègues qui ne savaient même pas qu'un mec trans existait, pour dire le niveau de visibilité.
Within the LGB community, do you feel that you're seen and that you're heard and that you're part of the community?
Non. Non, moi je me reconnais pas du tout dans la communauté LGBT. La transphobie, il y en a partout, même chez les gays et les lesbiennes. La communauté LGBT, c'est pour les hommes gays et blancs et riches. C'est tout.
Le T est rajouté juste histoire de dire.
La France, elle aime bien donner des leçons de droits de l'homme partout, alors que c'est vraiment la misère pour les personnes trans en France. Et c'est complètement la stérilisation des personnes trans pour leur changement d'état civil. C'est condamné par la Commission internationale des droits de l'homme, en fait. C'est une atteinte aux droits de l'homme. Et genre, la France, elle en a rien à faire.
On ne bouge. Et en fait, avec le mariage pour tous, ça a empiré les choses. C'est-à-dire qu'il y a l'extrême droite qui s'est organisée. Avoir des droits pour les trans, c'est à des années-lumière, je pense. Ouais. Pour l'instant, c'est inconcevable.
There is some acceptance for the gay community within France. But other LGBTQ people are still fighting for a place within the mainstream. I'm meeting up again with my friend, journalist Edwin Nasser, to continue our conversation about the minority experience within France and the LGBTQ community.
Allow me.
Okay, thank you.
What do you think are the biggest issues that the LGBTQ community faces in France?
It's LGBTQ people of color because they're never part of a conversation. It's also visibility. It's harder to talk about these things in France because identity politics isn't really that respected. So even like saying people of color is offensive to a normal French person, so they don't speak of, they have a colorblind attitude. They don't acknowledge multiple narratives. There's one national common narrative, which is like this constant universalist, you're either French or you're not, and that's it. You don't get to have your own experiences, and people who don't fit into this are usually just marginalized.
Mm-hmm. Are you one of the rare voices in that conversation? Are there a lot of people talking about that? Or?
There are some people talking about that. There aren't much. I focus on LGBT people who do not live in the city, but who live in like what you American folks would call the projects, I guess. On the outskirts of Paris, people haven't been given a chance to really be open about their sexuality because they live in very disenfranchised places where the government has completely forgotten about them.
And why do you personally feel connected to that kind of work?
When I first came here, gay marriage was legalized. I saw a lot of gay people just telling themselves, well, let's just stop there. We got all our rights, we're equal now. But then I saw how like LGBTQ people lived in the suburbs, in the projects basically. And so I just really wanted to find the intersection between like poverty and LGBTQ issues, because they really do intersect, and because coming out really is a privilege, and living your life as a free gay man or a free gay woman really is a privilege as well. So that's why I wanted to write about this stuff.
I know your boyfriend's here, and not that we have to put him on camera, but I'm wondering, now that I see her, what a cute couple. Hi.
Hello.
What's your name?
Bassem.
Bassem? Ian. So nice to meet you.
You too.
And are you openly walking around and holding hands and hanging out?
Yes, yes. A way to protect ourselves from racism is to basically be very, very gay together in public spaces, so that we aren't seen as this potential threat. We aren't bestialized or demonized as these like masculine Arab men. It's a race issue as well. It's not only like an anti-Islam thing.
I'm leaving the center of the city and headed to the suburbs of Paris, known here as the banlieue. These areas are home to the majority of Paris's ethnic and religious minority communities. Those to the northeast of the city have come to be associated with what the French government calls sensitive urban zones, or areas where there's high unemployment and poverty rates. And so, the residents of the banlieue often deal with intersecting cultural stigmas against immigration, religion, and poverty.
Quand j'étais plus jeune, j'ai connu le rejet. Quand j'étais jeune, j'étais raciste, homophobe et antisémite. Et j'ai envie de dire, je l'étais naturellement. Je l'étais naturellement parce que ça faisait partie des codes de la cité dans laquelle j'ai grandi.
I'm going to a class held by Abdelkader Relaine, who grew up in the suburbs and now teaches a course aimed at deconstructing discrimination. Young people from the area who apply for government aid attend the class.
Aujourd'hui, donc, mon intervention elle va graviter autour du vivre ensemble. Qu'est-ce que c'est que la discrimination?
Rabaisser une personne.
La discrimination, concrètement, la vraie définition de la discrimination, c'est traiter inégalement une personne. Je vous montre une image, et vraiment ce que j'ai envie, c'est que les uns et les autres, vous me donniez votre ressenti. Qu'est-ce que vous voyez, qu'est-ce que vous pensez, qu'est-ce que vous ressentez quand vous voyez ces images, d'accord? Voilà. D'abord la première image. Pourquoi tu fais ça?
Qu'est-ce qui n'est pas naturel pour moi? Moi, je ne comprends pas. On m'a toujours appris l'homme, il descend de l'homme et de la femme, pas de l'homme et de l'homme.
D'accord.
Voilà pourquoi.
Mais toi, c'est toi qui juges alors?
C'est tout. Bah voilà, je vous le dis. Non, mais j'ai jugé.
Ah, c'est pas notre faute. Moi, par exemple, c'est parce que je suis croyant, je suis chrétien.
Bah oui,
il y a Adam et Ève, il n'y a pas...
Il n'y a pas Adam, il y a Adam.
Moi, je suis musulman pratiquant. Je suis musulman pratiquant, donc, et moi, ça me gêne pas. Parce que qu'est-ce que vous voyez là? Vous voyez quoi?
Des garçons en train de
C'est des
s'embrasser.
hommes qui s'aiment et qui s'embrassent.
Moi, je vois le diable. Moi, je vais être clair, je vois le diable.
Tu vois le diable, toi?
Ouais, je vois, pour moi, ils ont été sous emprise de quelque chose et...
Et pourquoi ça t'embête? Ils ont le droit. Est-ce que
ça me dégoûte un peu, quoi.
Mais pourquoi ça te dégoûte? Je comprends pas.
Je sais pas, je trouve ça moche.
Toi aussi, ça te dégoûte? Demain, vous allez être parents. Qui vous dit que votre enfant va pas être homosexuel?
Oh,
je le reconnais.
Jamais dire jamais.
Comment? Attends, qu'est-ce que t'as dit? Stop. Qu'est-ce que t'as dit? Tu te jettes par la fenêtre?
Ouais.
Oh, purée. Maxime, c'est une mauvaise chose.
Je peux pas accepter ça, c'est une chose...
Ouais. Les préjugés, c'est hyper dangereux. Je vous dis pourquoi? Parce qu'ils vous coupent du monde. D'accord? Parce que... Alors, attendez, je vais vous donner un exemple. Je vais vous prendre un exemple. Yann qui est là, il est homosexuel.
Ça va? Ça va pas me déranger que je lui serre la main s'il est vraiment bien.
Ouais, bien sûr. Mais...
C'est vraiment bien. Mais on t'a dit qu'il est gay.
Ouais, il est gay. D'accord? Il est gay. Ça veut dire que si c'était votre... Alors ça veut dire que si c'était ton enfant, t'aurais préféré qu'il meure. Ça veut dire ça. Si c'était ton enfant, tu préférais qu'il meure. Pourtant c'est un homme, c'est quelqu'un de vivant.
Je peux pas supporter. She said like if Ian was your son, you would have him dead.
And she said what?
She said, oh, I cannot like live with this.
Mm.
Do you want to ask her something?
No.
Il veut pas parler? Non? Non? Alors, pourtant, quand je vous regarde tous, est-ce que vous saviez...
Il a pris normal parce qu'il est habitué à ce genre de réflexion.
I'm just curious about people's families and what if you went home and told your family that you were gay, what would the reaction be?
Moi, ma mère, elle m'a toujours dit, tant que t'es pas mort, je m'en fous que tu sois gay.
Elle est bien, ta mère. Bah écoute, tu devrais prendre exemple sur ta mère.
Mais moi, je m'en fiche qu'il soit gay, hein. Si tu veux, on va en soirée demain, je m'en fiche. Hein.
Mais si t'as un enfant, homosexuel...
Ah, mais là, par contre, je vais dire gros.
Si demain t'as un fils homosexuel...
Bah, moi, je vais le tuer, hein. Mais je vais m'y faire.
D'accord.
What about you? What would your family say?
Si tu rentrais chez toi et tu disais, je suis homosexuel, qu'est-ce qu'ils diraient tes parents?
Ils m'acceptent pas.
Ils t'accepteraient pas?
Oui.
D'accord. Une question, est-ce que vous avez des questions à poser à Yann?
Ça fait combien d'années il est homosexuel?
How long? My whole life.
Il est avec.
C'est ce que je vous ai dit tout à l'heure, c'est pas... on se lève pas un matin en se disant...
I think the important thing for me to say is that I don't live here. I don't know about your lives necessarily, but I'm from a small town, so I'm used to this conversation, right? To me, the things that people are saying here are actually pretty typical. I studied abroad in Paris when I was young. I was 20 years old, and I was not out with my sexuality. I was, in fact, struggling with it. Struggling with what people would say and how I would be treated. And so I'm imagining my old self sitting in this room and hearing the things that I heard today. And I think maybe there's actually someone in here who's also in that same struggle. But think about everybody in the room and how they might potentially be offended or hurt by what you say. Those kind of words and those kind of statements actually do lead to the killing and murder and violence of other people. And we should reflect on that more.
Merci beaucoup.
Bye. Nice meeting you. Good luck to you. So you put me on the spot there. I truthfully was not expecting that. But I'm actually really happy that you did that. It was a very eye-opening experience for me and surely for them, I'm thinking, hopefully.
L'idée, c'était ça, c'était de pouvoir faire en sorte que les jeunes soient confrontés en direct. C'est certain que cet entretien aujourd'hui va pas rester indemne, entre guillemets.
You were talking about your past and your past being racist and homophobic. What was the turning point for you towards a more accepting attitude?
En fait, c'est simple, c'est en fait quand j'ai découvert l'autre, celui qui ne me ressemblait pas. Parce qu'en face de moi, j'avais d'abord un être humain, et puis surtout, j'avais quelqu'un qui me ressemblait en tout point. Franchement, je crois que ce qui conduit les gens à rejeter l'autre, c'est l'ignorance.
I thank you so much for the experience that I had today, and thank you for all the work you're doing and for sharing your change of heart and working so hard to help other people change their hearts and their minds.
Que je pense que demain, nos jeunes vont changer et vont être dans l'acceptation. J'ai vraiment foi en l'avenir.
French colonial policy was rooted in the concept of assimilation. And that history has created a population of people who have been born into French culture, though they were not born on its soil. Immigration from French-speaking nations in North Africa has made the Muslim community in France one of the largest in Western Europe. The recent wave of terrorist attacks, as well as the European refugee crisis, has inflamed national debate about what it means to be French. I'm meeting with Nasser Eddine, a Moroccan-born imam, to hear about how being an immigrant, Muslim, and gay have affected his experience within France and the LGBTQ community.
In the street, I'm not really profiled as gay, so I'm facing more Islamophobia in the street. For example, when something terrorist attack happens in Paris, people pointing, like, looking at me as a stranger or as an enemy or someone who doesn't fit in this secular society. You know, in France we have secularism, and some interpretation of this are very narrow-minded. And this is, for me, an Islamophobic neo-colonial thought, which is happening in the LGBT community also.
You're saying, though, that the LGBT community is not giving you a space in that conversation?
When you read the statement for the 2016 Pride, for example, they don't talk about racism we face. They don't talk about Islamophobia we face. They don't talk about police violence. They don't talk about ethnic profiling. They don't talk about refugees and asylum seekers. So for me, very important to talk about intersectionality because we face it.
How do you feel about same-sex marriage being legalized here?
I'm happy that it's legalized. Works for some people, but because France signed before years ago kind of bilateral conventions, the living nationalities are still excluded from that law. So me being Moroccan, I cannot marry, for example, my partner. This is very contradictory that a law that normally brings equality still actually being discriminatory against, few nationalities.
And what do you think exactly has to change in France for you to be more accepted and not face so much discrimination?
What I advocate or fighting for is to educate people on intersectionality. It's a double duty. Me being Muslim, I have to actually feel others' struggles and have to be with them. My challenge is to build bridges and so that people can teach themselves, but also teach others, because if we're not enough empowered in a civil society level, we cannot actually have weight towards politicians. And this is actually the biggest challenge.
There is a rising political tide that's against multiculturalism led by the National Front, France's conservative party. They believe in a massive reduction of immigrants, promotion of traditional family values, and maintaining an undivided France.
La France a le droit de savoir qui est sur son territoire.
The recent wave of terrorist attacks in France has fueled the National Front's popularity. And surprisingly, a recent survey pointed out that 32% of gay couples voted for the FN during the regional elections in 2015. That year, the party won 12 cities, one of which was Beaucaire in the south of the country. I'm on my way there to meet its mayor, Julian Sanchez, a rising star within the FN. Thank you so much for talking with me today. And you're a very young mayor, yes?
Oui, je pense que les gens ont recherché ça parce qu'ils se sont dit que j'allais gérer différemment, avec un regard nouveau.
Being such a young mayor, do you think it's important for young people to get involved in politics?
Oui, je pense que les jeunes, il faut aussi qu'ils s'impliquent. Il ne faut pas uniquement qu'ils critiquent ou qu'ils manifestent, mais il faut qu'ils s'impliquent concrètement dans la politique, parce que s'ils ne s'en occupent pas, la politique, elle s'occupe d'eux. Donc il faut que les jeunes s'impliquent, oui, s'ils veulent que les choses évoluent dans le bon sens.
Tell me more about the National Front. What does the National Front stand for? What are its ideologies?
Le Front National est un parti qui veut défendre les intérêts de la France. Je crois qu'il faut rappeler aussi les racines de la France, qui est un pays judéo-chrétien. Aujourd'hui, certains, les autres partis politiques français, voudraient nous faire nier notre histoire et voudraient que nous soyons un pays multiculturel. Nous ne le voulons pas.
I'm wondering how diversity fits into what you're talking about.
Nous sommes contre les intérêts particuliers, les revendications communautaristes, qu'elles soient religieuses, sexuelles ou autres. Nous sommes pour que tout cela reste dans la sphère privée.
I think on the one hand, maybe some people would say that your party is homophobic because of its stance originally on gay marriage and some of the anti-LGBT laws that are in place and potentially going to be put into place. And at the same time, there is support from the LGBTQ community for your party. How is that possible, and why do you think that is?
Le Front National a défendu l'amélioration du Pax, qui est un contrat d'union civile entre personnes de même sexe, mais le mariage, pour nous, c'est dans le but de fonder une famille, et donc il faut un homme et une femme pour faire des enfants et procréer. Voilà ce que nous défendons. Nous avons beaucoup d'homosexuels aussi au Front National, il y en a toujours eu, et ce n'est pas un problème du tout. Mais contrairement aux États-Unis, c'est vrai que pour nous, la sphère privée, normalement, reste la sphère privée. Beaucoup d'homosexuels aujourd'hui en France aimeraient surtout avoir le droit à l'indifférence, pouvoir vivre tranquillement et ne pas être stigmatisés. Voilà, nous sommes pragmatiques, mais contre le mariage homosexuel et surtout contre la GPA et la procréation assistée, etc.
What do you say to a woman who is a lesbian and wants to have a child, and she would be a beautiful mother, but she can't do that here, and she has to go to another country?
Nous sommes opposés à la GPA, à la PMA. Est-ce que parce que nous sommes opposés à ça, nous n'aimons pas les homosexuels? Ça n'a rien à voir. Voilà, on ne va pas donner raison à 100% des revendications communautaristes des uns et des autres, sinon on n'a pas fini.
I'm interested in the conversation around LGBTQ people, and I'm wondering how minorities have a voice then, if they feel like they need to be heard to make changes for their lives, but they don't have a place to do that and they're not considered in the conversation. How do you think they get a voice?
Les communautés n'existent pas pour nous. La seule communauté que nous reconnaissons, c'est la communauté nationale, la communauté française.
There are things that you say just in their subtlety that is a disregard for the issues that people face.
Mais vous avez une position extrémiste. Encore une fois, nous considérons tous les Français comme des Français.
I am here and experiencing Paris in a new way and France in a new way. And I think the interesting part is that I've been meeting so many radical, intelligent, passionate young people that were my age when I studied here, and they've been teaching me so much. And they're really helping me understand how to politicize your experience. And they realize that if they have a voice in politics, it can change things. When Pride started, it was a protest. They risked a lot stepping out into the street, asserting their sexuality, making it political, and making what was invisible visible. That energy is being reclaimed through Pride Inouï, and the march is today. Pride Inouï brings the issues of marginalized queer communities to the forefront. It's a place where those voices who have been silenced can be heard. And this year's is bigger than ever. I mean, how are you feeling right now? Describe to me what you think the energy in the air is like.
I'm very happy to see just how diverse the crowd is. Because I did not expect this 2 to 3 years ago. I thought the LGBT community was a lost cause in terms of politicization, and just to see them all very excited to be here and vocalizing very radical demands is just, it fills my heart with joy.
D'organisations signataires. On commence du coup avec Accès Presté.
Ces gouvernements abandonnant les personnes trans migrants, nous rejetons leurs arguments transphobes, nous rejetons leurs fausses sympathies sous couvert d'ignorance. Nous manifesterons aujourd'hui pour ce que nous sommes et en colère. Et nous manifestons à cette Pride Nuit dans laquelle nous nous retrouvons en termes de valeurs et de lutte aujourd'hui. Nous restons et nous resterons fiers et dignes et humains. Plus aucun compromis, plus aucune soumission.
Pride Inouï is saying, you're not listening to us. You're not giving us a platform to be heard, even within the LGBTQ community. And we need to now create a space where we can shout that out, where we can be political, we can be loud, and we can be aggressive with our politics.
Les droits sont blancs, on en a marre. Les droits pour les trans, pas pour l'état d'urgence. Les droits pour les trans, pas pour l'état d'urgence. Les droits pour les trans, pas pour l'état d'urgence.
France is really diverse, really interesting because of its diversity. And just looking around that crowd and seeing so many young, vibrant, passionate, beautiful people, I think it really helps make people have to face things that they're uncomfortable facing. And that's how real progress happens.